Good afternoon, Westwood, and welcome to the Wolverine Report, episode 37. Evan, my goodness, 37 episodes.
That's a lot of episodes.
It hasn't even been a year yet, but we are delighted to have you folks joining us. Joined as always, Ava Cardimino, co-host, Charlotte Lynch, technical director, Marie Fiscaldo, social media, and I'm Morgan Donahue. And folks, we have two very special ladies on the podcast today. Two ladies that are doing it at the highest level right now, UMass women's lacrosse. We got to see them at Westwood High School, 2 state championships back-to-back. I believe it was 49, 50 wins in a row as well. One of those state championships, like dramatic as dramatic fashion can come. Looking forward to talking about that too. But two, as we mentioned, two very special student athletes, Ava Connaughton and Lil Hancock. Ladies, how are you? Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us, Morg.
Absolutely. It's been a long time coming. You guys have been somewhat, forever connected to each other, always playing, in the same grade, growing up on those youth teams, playing together at the high school together. And, when we're watching that first state championship, the funny thing is the Franklin fans are like, who the heck are these two? They're all over the field, and they're trying to get in your heads. You guys were unfazed by it. And then ultimately make the decision to go to UMass, not too long after each other. Pretty cool to understand where you're going to go to school before the start of your junior year. Nothing better than that.
For sure.
And then you go to UMass together. You're both part of the A10 rookie team together. And then this unbelievable sophomore season you both had.
Thank you.
Continue the winning streak for the regular season wins in the A10, a playoff berth in the NCAA playoffs, and just a remarkable season. And if you were to look at the season, before the season started and look at, how it unfolded and then having a playoff berth, what would you have told yourself? And, how special was this season for both of you?
I think looking back at last year, going into this year, we got some playing time last year, and we definitely had a role on the team, but coming into this year, we definitely had a much larger role, and having those leaders from last year that brought us into this year, we definitely learned a lot about how we should be behaving as players and leaders, and I think that we had a really large role in our success this season, and I mean, it's just so fun getting to play with Ava since we've known each other since middle school.
Yep.
And it just makes it so much more special that, we know each other through and through, and that, we know how each other play, and it's just it's been a great year.
Yeah.
Yep. I feel like freshman year, it's a lot of just, trying to fight off the nerves and just trying to prove yourself, whereas I feel like this year it was less proving and more just, filling in those shoes from the seniors last year.
That's a great point, because we had Don Varnon on over last summer, and one of the questions I asked him was, when you went on to BU, did you feel like you had to prove to yourself that you were good enough? He goes, absolutely. Mm-hmm. When you're going up against people from all these top schools in the nation, there's also kind of a public school, private school kind of feel too, where public schools sometimes underlooked, under-respected, on the big stage, and they have their ways if they do a flag football game to kind of settle that. But he said, he had to kind of prove himself to build the confidence that I can do that at this level. Mm-hmm. Did you guys feel that? And then on top of that, when you did get selected as all-rookie team, how big was that for you guys going into the sophomore year and the confidence?
Okay, so I definitely feel like I had to prove myself coming in freshman year, because obviously in high school, we're the top players on our teams, and in the state and stuff. But as you go into college, Division I especially, it's all the best players from all the best states, and it definitely felt like I had to prove myself. And I mean, it's awesome getting to play with all the best players on your team. We said all the time, we're our best competition.
Yep.
And it definitely felt like we had to prove ourselves. And then, working day in and day out, doing the hard work, and then finally getting to the end of the season and hearing that we both got rookie team. I mean, it was great.
Yeah.
But we got to just keep going
yeah.
day in, day out.
Quick celebration.
Yeah,
and then
quick
you're
celebration.
Exactly.
on to the next practice and whatnot. Humble girls. Ava, it's, same thing for you. Did you feel that you had to prove yourself? And you come from kind of a different kind of angle of your sister was a legend on UMass.
Mm-hmm.
So like that name, that's going to carry some pressure. Did you feel like you had to prove yourself in two ways? One, that you're good enough, but also like people are going to, say, they're going to compare you to Haley. What was that like?
I mean, I'm still proving myself to this day. But I feel like the transition to college period is hard.
Yeah.
So I think just trying to prove yourself to not only yourself, but also to the coaches and players around you. You have to like be able to build that respect, to trust you, to put you on that field. And I think that's important to just like look to older people. Like I look to my sister, to just, have them build that confidence within you too.
And you mentioned the transition from college, and a unique situation for you two is you both graduated the same class at Westwood High School, and you had each other making that transition to college. We've spoken with Joe Vinci, who went to Notre Dame, and he's the only Westwood student. Same with Don Varner. How is having each other helpful for you guys when making that transition onto a college team? I mean, it's just, she's like my home away from home. I tell a lot of people she's one of the only few I could bring to college with me, and that stands still. I am such a homebody, and it's so helpful to have Lil and a familiar face with me every single day. Like, if I need something, she's the first person I go to always, and that's just, I'm forever grateful for that.
Yeah, same here. I mean, she said it all, but, like, knowing each other so well from, like, home and, like, as I said, middle school through high school, it's just so special that we, like, know each other that well, and now we're, like, on a whole new world in college, and it's just, like, we have that support system. Yeah. It's great.
College is different, and people realize that quickly, but it's even more different for a student athlete. You're away from home a lot more than most kids. A lot of kids are able to get home because they don't have practice. They don't have fall ball and stuff like that. So it is a learning curve, and having each other is certainly great because you can feel a piece of Westwood, in Amherst. But the other thing too is you guys have amazingly supportive families that are not only at the home games, they're out on the road too. And I got to make it down to Davidson, staying with Terry at the house, just like knuckleheads having a blast. How impactful is that for you guys when you are, especially freshman year, and then we'll add sophomore year in there, when you're at the games, you're after the games, and the family's there, and they're supporting you guys ride or die?
Yep.
Oh my God.
I mean, we play for them every day. Seeing pictures and videos of them having these watch parties at home while we're at school. It's just, again, I'm just so grateful to have a family that supports me through and through. And that loves me and allows me to do what I love every single day too. To be able to win in front of them too means the world to me. Like at A10s especially, when I saw my dad, I just immediately started bawling because honestly, like what I do is for them. So it's just important.
Yeah, same here. And I think back to like, our like club tournaments that we had when we were younger, and like all the terrible drives out to Delaware, like DE turf. And all the time that, like, my parents put into my success, I couldn't be more grateful. And, like, Morgue, obviously. Morgue.
I've heard about those hotels. Hotels that you guys are staying at with cracked windows, spiders, and whatnot. And, I mean, I got to ask the question. So you guys win the A10s. And is that a full circle moment for you guys? When you guys win that, and you guys you're away for so much of the year, you're working hard, and then when you are home, you're up at 6 a.m., you're working hard, and you're just pushing yourselves to get better. Like, was that a full circle moment when you win that and you're holding that trophy and holding it together, of just looking back at, day one and all that hard work that you guys put in and all the sacrifice, that you and your families have put in?
Yeah, I mean, it honestly is definitely a full circle moment because we know how it feels in high school. Obviously, we had 2 championships as well. But I think also we're not done yet, and we're continuing to chase for more and more. Getting those first round NCAA wins. I think that's our next goal because we know our power, and we will be able to, go on because we know how it feels, and we are just chasing that. So.
Absolutely. And got to give shout out to 2 other Westwood players that, were part of UMass. So Rachel Shue, and then Fiona McGowan. So I wanted to ask a question about Fiona. So similar position, attack.
Yeah.
How important was having someone like her who's been there and did it for so many years at UMass successfully and, breaking records, but someone who did that out of Westwood High School, there. How did that feel to have someone you could look up to that, like, as we said, Joe Vinci knows what it's like to sit in traffic on 109,
Yep.
but is right there at UMass with you, and you're so close, you're in the same positional meetings and all that
Yeah.
stuff. What was it like learning from her?
I mean, it just gave me hope coming from Westwood and putting in her hard work. I obviously want the same for myself. She really just mastered her position at the crease, and it was so fun to watch her do that every single day. I remember last year I would sit down and watch film with my coaches, just specifically watching her and the moves she'd make and the shots she'd shoot. It's just, I'm so grateful to have a player and a role model like her to watch after.
Incredible. I mean, there's nothing I love more than when I'm watching the games and you hear the Westwood shoutouts.
Oh, yeah.
And got to give a shout out to Rachel Shue. She balled out this year. Terrific defender.
did.
At one point, I saw her. She almost had a goal. I saw her in front of the
Yeah.
net.
Good times.
I was like, if that went in, the roof is coming off.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm driving to Amherst, and I'm see Dawn Marie and Russell. We're all celebrating.
Oh, yeah.
But that was
For sure.
a special moment. And Rachel went to Exeter, I believe, right?
Yes, she
so, didn't go to Westwood High, but Westwood resident. Fiona went to Westwood High School. But really remarkable when you have 4 people on the same team, a Division I team from the same town.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
just incredible. When you look back this season, a lot of great memories. What are some of your favorite memories from the season?
Well, obviously winning A10s.
Yep.
That was electric.
Yep.
Best feeling. We've been waiting, not waiting, but we've been working hard the entire season, all of last year, all into this year. And we all had a feeling we were going to win. We all knew that, we had some crazy good players.
Yeah.
And just, the tight-knit team we had, it was just so special, and it made us so successful on the field and off the field.
And then you got a player like Jordan Dean on that team.
Oh, yeah.
What is it like playing with her? 2 years in a row, All-American selection. She brings an energy to the game, and seems like an amazing leader. Saw her score a goal this year, and no one more fired up than her teammates. Talk about a player like her. I mean, just dominant out there for the last few seasons, and was certainly a big part of that team this year.
Yeah. I mean, Jordan is a different breed. She proves to all of us that if you work hard and play hard, it'll show up on the field and it will show up on the stat book. She puts in so much work, film, individuals. I mean, that girl is constantly on the field making herself better and making those around her better too. Being a junior captain, Jordan, and a senior, it just proves that she was such a great leader and the rest of the team thought the same.
I mean, there'd be games. I mean, it was at one point, if you look both last year and this year, averaging 13, 14 draw controls a game. That's
Insane.
outwardly.
Oh, yeah.
But a special talent, and is that type of energy when you have leaders like that bring that every single time? Is that infectious? Do you feel that feed off of that, and does that help kind of get you guys fired up and just add a little extra to what you guys bring on top to a game?
100%. She's the most hardworking and positive player I've played with, I think.
Yeah.
No one on our team could say anything bad about her.
Yeah.
And, it just makes you want to play that much harder for her and, bring our team that much further into the season, because it's you're doing it for each other. It's not just for yourself or your coaches. It's you want to do it for your best friends and get as far as you can with them and hang out with them as long as you can.
Yeah.
And she had a huge role in our success.
Yeah.
We also see there's a lot of Wolverines that you also play against. I know Ashley Mackin at Johns Hopkins having a great season as well in girls lacrosse. How special is it when you play other teams that have Westwood girls? And is there any sort of, rivalry, for lack of a better word? Do you want to beat them a little more when you play your former teammates?
I mean, I just think back to our Davidson game.
Yep.
One of our best friends is Kella McGrail. Literally lives.
Her brother Michael was the intern for this year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
Great kid.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Kella lives right down the street from me, and we go to the wall all the time, go to the field, pass around. And I told her after the game, but we were all standing up for the pledge, and Kella, I heard Kella's name get announced to start, and I literally was choking up because I'm like, this is so crazy that it's like not just one of us, it's like 3 of us on the field that have all played together, and like we know each other so well, and it's just like, it's so crazy to think that we were all playing on the same field together. And like there was one time where like I was cutting through the middle of the 8 and Kella was like on me and I'm like, Kel. And it was just like, I'm like, this is so crazy because we've played on the same team together our whole life and now we're up against each other. It's
I remember you guys hugging after the game, and you were still emotional, and I can totally get it. Part of me is like, you're so proud of her.
Yes.
And seeing what she's doing, like she's independent, she's an independent woman at a, big time lacrosse program and representing Westwood, and to hear her name and Westwood, and then to be able to compete against each other, and then, be able to just, give each other a big hug after the game.
Oh my God.
I mean, you got to be thinking about those car rides and
Yes.
those Baltimore hotels and, all these places that you guys have traveled and whatnot. But
I mean,
is it an emotional experience when you see, your colleagues, you see Olivia Williams during like the preseason and whatnot, what are those feelings that come to mind?
well, for me, after the game, when I finally got to hug her, because before the game and during the game, I'm like, I can't hug you yet, Cope.
Yeah.
But after the game, I gave her the biggest hug, and it was just waterworks.
Yeah.
And she's not an emotional person at all. She's like, Lil, why are you crying? But I was like, I missed you. I can't believe we're here. And, like, her dad was also in the stands.
Yeah.
Ava's dad was in the stands.
Yeah.
And it was just, like, it was so emotional. Because it's, like, we've come so far from the Delaware tournaments where we would take, like, 6-hour car rides through, like, random places. But I mean, it's just so special.
Yeah. And honestly, like, through the summer, we're up 7 a.m. with her every day. So just, like, shout out Compete. Just seeing, like, the hard work she puts in every day. It's just special to see that translate onto the field. And you brought up Ashley Mackin, and I feel like it's been so special and incredible to watch her succeed this year. She's always been a role model of ours. We talk about her once a week probably, just about her being such a great leader and great person, and just seeing her like flourish this year was amazing to watch.
Yeah. Stud. What a draw control she had after your goal.
Yeah, I know.
Just tipped it to herself and just ran the clock out.
Yeah.
And sister Jenny too, by the way, like stud.
Yeah.
She's been total, just like Ashley on the draw controls. She's been a big piece for the Wolverines, and been terrific on defense as well. But, you guys, you have fall season. You then have quick little break, kind of like Christmas break, and then you basically kick off January, first game starting in late January, February?
Yeah, early Feb.
And you have very minimal downtime. What do you guys do on your downtime? And is it together as a team? If it is, like, are you guys like a family? You just basically spending, all days, every day together, even during the off days?
I mean, I feel like us as a team, we don't really, our grade at least, we don't really like downtime. We don't really like being alone. We would rather be with the girls.
Yeah.
Being with such like a close grade, there's 9 of us. On any off day, we're out doing something, like just going to find new places to, see, and just having fun on those off days because you need to cherish those. And because obviously we rarely get them.
Yeah.
So just showing up, at the seniors or juniors' house and just annoying them is just fun to do.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Any roommate shout-outs you guys want to give?
Yes, 100%.
Let's hear it.
My roommate, Katie Onderdonk, shout out. Philly girl.
Yep.
She's awesome.
Yeah.
And she's been coming back from an ACL injury, and she's just so inspiring to watch, honestly.
Yeah.
Because she just puts her head down and works, and she's back from her injury. And
So positive. I mean, she's one of the first people to see on the sidelines getting everyone fired up.
Oh, yeah.
She's getting Jordan fired up after the face-offs, with the sticks and whatnot.
Oh, yeah.
But she's going to be a terrific player. And
she's a competitor.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Shout out Bridget Valentine from Massapequa, Long Island. I'm number 2, she's number 3, so we're next to each other for everything, especially in the locker room. We're like side by side here. So it's just great to have a roommate like her that's also inspiring too every single day. So shout out to her.
Yeah.
Incredible player, incredible season. Wheels.
Oh, yeah.
Absolute wheels. And did you guys play together for Team Ireland?
Yes.
How cool was that? Talk a little bit about that. So Ava played for Team Ireland over the summer with a couple, there was some additional UMass players too.
So I played with Bridget Welch and Bridget Valentine. We traveled to Ireland late fall last year while we were still kind of figuring out the whole college thing. And then we tried out in Ireland and made the team and traveled to Hong Kong in August of this past summer. It was the most amazing experience I've ever had. I didn't think I could love the sport anymore, and I do because of that. Just seeing how other countries play and just being so grateful, and also trying to grow the game more is inspiring to itself. And just playing for the people back at home, my grandparents, my dad.
Riverdale.
Yeah, Riverdale. And just being able to play with those two girls. We talked earlier about like home away from home, and honestly I felt like I was in home and in Hong Kong, which I never thought I could say. But just having those girls there, we were successful too, so it was just great to bring that experience home with me.
Whoever was running the social media out there for Team Ireland, incredible. Like
Yeah.
playing Cranberries, zombies.
Yeah.
Unbelievable, like mix for lacrosse highlights.
Yeah.
It was outstanding.
Yeah, it was good.
And on that same note of travel, you guys as college athletes get to go around and play other teams and go away. What are some of your favorite places to go on the road and play at in a team's home stadium?
I mean, Davidson was honestly awesome.
Yeah.
They have such a great facility, and I'm pretty sure it was installed last year, but it was just gorgeous,
Yeah.
and the weather there was very nice.
Yes.
We got to travel on our way home, we stopped at this little like common area of shops, and it was like beautiful and just so like calming, and it's just different because Amherst is lots of beautiful farmland.
Bookstores.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it was good. Also being at Hopkins was amazing, playing on that field. Not many people can say that they played there, so it was just really cool to get that opportunity to play at that stadium and that facility. That was really nice too.
Richmond was a nice one too.
Yeah.
The games on the football field seem like awesome. Like when you guys go play the fall games at Harvard inside that stadium.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. Would I haven't seen UMass's football field, but would that be a fun experience, or are you guys so used to Garber that you're like, hey, I don't care, what time the game is. That's our field.
Honestly,
we'll play whoever.
Garber is home.
Yeah.
Like, we love it because we're one of the like, not one of the only schools, but not many schools have a field just for the lacrosse teams.
Yeah.
And so knowing that like we're the only two teams, us and the men's team, that get to play on this field is awesome.
It's also good that the restraining lines, you can just see those because I tend to run right over them if it's a football field. So that's just, I'm glad for that because honestly, I've gotten a lot of green cards because of that, and I blame it on the field, but it's me.
It's the field.
Yeah.
It's the hustle.
No.
You were hustling in transition.
Thanks.
Ava, you are not afraid to take contact. You go to the net and you'll take a hit to score a goal. How much do you embrace that part of the game of just being fearless and whatever it takes to get a goal?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I spend a lot of the time on the ground. So I heard the alumni have a group chat of how they have a guessing game of how many times I'm going to be on the ground that game. It's a little embarrassing, but honestly, I've grown to like know how to take the contact and learn how to fall on the ground so that I don't get hurt, knock on wood. But just being able to, it just allows me to do a lot more with the stick when I'm able to, use my body. So.
Well, you do a good job with it. I mean, you're not afraid to go to those areas. And then you have such good moves in tight, like right by the goalie, where the goalie thinks, okay, I think I'm good. And then you make two other moves, and they are 2 steps behind. And you've done it, too, at the buzzer. You've had a few buzzer beaters this year. Are you aware of the clock, as it's basically working its way down inside 5, inside 10, inside 5. And, what's your mindset there? Are you just trying to get into a position by the net where you can catch a pass, quick shot? And, how do you have the wherewithal to even know when you have an extra second to make that move and still beat the buzzer?
Well, being behind the net, you're able to see a lot more, just because you have the whole field in front of you, and also having the clock right next to your head makes it easier too. I'm just always like turning back and looking at it. But just, I feel like I always want to be able to get a shot off before the buzzer, because I know it can be such a like momentum boost for the next quarter. And I think that's so important. Obviously, my teammates are setting me up every time. I couldn't get that goal without that pass. Thinking back to the one at Richmond, Tessa Shields placed it right in front of me, and I literally just had to tap it in because, all credit to her. Yeah. But I think just us moving at such a high speed throughout the entire game, we never take our foot off the gas, even when there's 10 minutes left. Yeah. Or 10 seconds left.
Something Evan and I talk about on the games we do is we call it the vulnerable minute. And it's probably less for lacrosse because there's so many goals. But say hockey or soccer. Yep. When a team scores with under a minute, that is either huge momentum shift for the team that scored, or it is so deflating because when you go in between periods or you go in between quarters, you have all of that time to think about what that was, positive or negative. Do you guys feel that? So when you have a buzzer beater for the first quarter, do you feel that momentum going into the second quarter of wow, that was a big play that's tipping us off for the second quarter, and vice versa? If you guys give up a goal, within the last 10 seconds, do you feel that? That kind of momentum swing? Is it a mental hurdle that you guys need to get over if and when it does happen in games?
Yeah, I feel like it is so important to finish off strong. It also brings the coaches in with high energy when they come and talk to us too, which channels to us too. Yeah. So it's definitely important. I mean, being on the other side of it, depending on the score, obviously, but if another team were to score on us in the last 10 seconds, I think it'd be pretty tough to recover from. You can, but just knowing and thinking about what the other locker room's talking about, obviously that's important.
Yeah. The best is when you can hear it.
Yeah.
The other team, you're like, oh, they're fired up. They're doing something right.
Yeah.
Hockey was great because they usually have the locker rooms right next to each other, and you can just hear fire and brimstone speech going on.
Yeah.
So Ava was mentioning how you embrace taking the ball to high traffic areas, not afraid to take some contact. And Lil, you are like a gazelle, running all over the darn field, 7 miles a game.
She never gets tired.
How much do you embrace and enjoy that part of the game of, you can go out there and score some goals, and then you're out in defense and trying to get that ball on the ground, trying to help your goaltender out with off-angle shots, trying to help out the D when it comes to slides and whatnot. How much do you embrace that part of the game, having to, do a lot of running?
Yeah, I mean, I actually love it because Ava and I have played soccer, basketball, and lacrosse together, and the common equilibrium of all of them, you're running a lot in all the sports, and I don't know, especially being midfield, it makes you appreciate attackers and defenders so much more, and the goalie. And I feel like if I'm ever getting in my head at all on attack, or if I can't make my shots, it's a quick reset because I'm down on the defensive end focusing on the next play. And I think it's such a great position because, I don't know, it helps you just naturally go with the flow of the game. And the running part of it, I don't think about too much because it's just I don't know, it's second nature because we've played our whole lives. But yeah.
Well, I want to switch gears a little bit. We have a lot of students who often ask about college athletes. They want to know about the recruitment process, the adjustment towards college. So talk us a little bit through your recruitment process to UMass. What was it like being recruited, and what ultimately led you to choosing to go to UMass?
Well, UMass has always been home to me. Just going and watching my sister play has been amazing, and it's being the youngest of 4. I've always, like I said before, being a homebody, so it honestly just felt very natural to go there and continue and build off of her legacy that she left behind. Also, it's a great distance from home too. Again, we talked about like playing for our families and having them be able to go there after work and watch our game is so important. So I feel like I had a little bit of a different process than most people having a sister play there. But I'm thankful for it all and how it worked out.
For me, I clearly remember like sophomore year, I think it was like winter, and I did a little Zoom call with Meredith Frank from Mass Elite. Shout out Mass Elite, because we wouldn't be here without Mass Elite probably. And we just went through a list of all the schools that I was like interested in playing for, and I know UMass was like one of the top schools that I had listed there. And once I visited and did a clinic, I just loved it. And like the whole team environment, and I met a bunch of the players and they were just all so welcoming. And like once I was on the campus, it just felt like it was like, this is the one. Like I want to play here.
Yeah.
And it helps when you know one of your teammates is going to be,
Yeah.
so-
yeah, 100%.
And that chemistry, it's like, we could do this at UMass, and you guys have. I mean, I think of that Holy Cross game.
Yeah.
And, getting the ball on the defensive end. I think it was Delaney Shaw passed it to you, Lil.
Yep.
You in a couple strides found Ava, and then Ava, ninja, put it in the back of the net. And that was a deflating goal. I think that was a time.
Oh, yeah.
I think a timeout was called after that one. We're going to talk this one through,
Yep.
but that was a
Yeah.
great game under the lights.
Yeah.
I think you guys got to do more of those.
We
those
do.
Oh,
those
yeah,
games.
for sure.
But how freeing is it when you have made your college decision and you know what your future is before you've even started your junior year? That's incredible. I wish I could go back
Yeah.
and do that, where I wouldn't let my grades slip, but I wouldn't have
Yeah.
additional pressure of needing to be perfect. I could just be me and just focus on winning and just being a good teammate and all that.
100%. I mean, I feel like it's definitely an earned position because, we worked so hard to get to that point, and it's like, all right, now we know where we're going. Like, we did all the hard work, and we got to continue the hard work. But it was definitely funny because, like, all my friends would be, like, applying to colleges the next year, and they're like, oh, I'm so stressed.
Yeah.
And I was definitely grateful
Yeah.
I didn't have to go through
For sure.
all the applications.
Yeah. And you guys ultimately still played 3 sports. How important was that for you you already made a decision to play college lacrosse and you have your future set. There's certainly risk when you're playing other sports, injuries and whatnot, but how important was it for you socially and also just from a competitive standpoint to continue to play those additional sports?
I feel like playing basketball and soccer ultimately made me more grateful that I chose lacrosse. Just it being such like a newer game and rules changing all the time. I think I'm grateful for that. And also I think playing 3 sports made us a better lacrosse player. I feel like we take a lot of what we learned from soccer and basketball and apply that to lacrosse that not many people can say. And obviously playing for Westwood soccer and Westwood basketball, it was such a great opportunity. And just applying from what we learned there to lacrosse as well.
Getting good different coaching perspectives is good too. And being coachable, it's one of the biggest things in life. I mean, I have a boss that has a boss, and they're going to tell you different feedback, and being able to take that and being able to get that in sports was so beneficial for me because some of it I might not agree with it, but I respect it, and I have to move forward with those suggestions. But that was great. There was some great memories too. That overtime thriller against Oliver Ames.
Yeah.
Was that top of the list when it comes to I guess I'd say soccer memories, because you guys have so many lacrosse memories.
For sure.
Yeah.
I just remember that pig pile after the game.
The same thing.
And it was like the best thing ever because they were such a great team, and it just showed a lot about our team and the heart that we had. We were such a close-knit group of girls, and it was honestly great to just prove that to the other teams and prove it to the higher rankings because no one thought we could do it, but we did.
Oh, yeah.
They were a top seed, I think, too.
Yeah.
We were.
Yeah. And what I remember is it was freezing cold game.
Yep.
And Maura Hennessy on the sideline, just
Yeah.
getting everyone fired up.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the girls are on their feet the whole time, while Oliver Ames, they're sitting on the bench just like it was like a library. You
Yeah.
know, it was very quiet. But
With their jackets on.
Westwood was hyped.
Oh, yeah.
Westwood was, you know, the Westwood sidelines was going to will the team out there to get
Yeah.
it in the goal. And what a way to score overtime or extra time.
Yep.
And just the pile.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Classic.
Lots of suffocating.
Yeah.
in
Yes, yes. But that was a great one, and you know, glad. And then you guys had a great basketball season too.
Yeah.
You know, it was just you guys had a really good battle versus Medfield
Yeah.
at home. You know, that was a really fun one to watch, and
Yeah.
you know, but glad you guys did. And I guess last question for UMass stuff before talking about our great town of Westwood and
Yeah.
some of those memories.
Gotcha.
UMass go to the MAC next year, and girls lacrosse going to be going with to the MAC as well. You know, what do you know about that league? You know, if anything, and you know, are you excited for that change? You know, what are your thoughts?
I mean, honestly, we really didn't talk about the MAC much at all this year because we were just so focused on our season
Yeah.
and like finishing off in the A10 on a high note, and we did. And I mean, it's exciting going into a new conference. We don't know too much about these teams yet, but it's exciting knowing that like we're coming off on a good note and we have a bunch of great returners and we're going to be really successful next year.
Yeah, and you get to see Molly Calgariff. You know, when
Oh,
you play,
yeah. Yep.
Miami, Ohio.
Ohio area.
So Westwood podcast, got to talk a little Westwood.
Oh, yeah,
our
for sure.
Our Westwood Wolverines.
Eh.
What are some of your earliest memories of playing the game of lacrosse here in town?
For high school?
Even
Or just-
or even earlier, you know, when you first picked up that stick, I'd imagine Ava had, was watching, you know, her big sisters picking up the stick and playing, you know, at the youth level and you know, playing around the house. But any early memories
Actually,
that come?
I remember this is like my first. I mean, I definitely have memories before this, but this was one of the greater ones. Our 8th grade team. Her dad was the coach, my dad was the coach, and Chris McCusker was our coach. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
We made it all the way to like the M-Talk tournament,
Yeah.
and we ended up going into penalty kicks.
Oh, soccer.
Yes,
the
soccer.
one. Yeah.
To
Yeah.
clarify.
Yes.
And I just remember like there was a whole like delay because the thunderstorms and it like built up the energy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And we ended up winning like the M-Talk for like the first year in I don't know how long.
Yeah.
And it was so exciting because our dads were coaching.
Yeah.
And it was just
I hadn't seen my dad or Lil's dad cry in a long time, and they did,
It was
and
a big
it
deal.
was
I mean,
awesome.
that trophy was up at Camella's for quite some time.
Yeah.
It was in
If you went to
Camella's.
Camella's and you sat at the bar, there was this one little plaque. It was a little plaque. I don't think it's there anymore.
Probably
But
not.
There was a little plaque. It was probably about, you know, a foot and a half by a foot and a half, and it was
Yeah.
their state championship
Yeah.
trophy
We somehow
from 8th
snuck it.
grade.
Yeah.
That's what we knew. There's something special about these athletes. There's a really good crop of athletes that are kind of up to high school. And your freshman year was, I believe, the COVID year. So you missed all of your freshman year for lacrosse. You know, how disappointing was that and upsetting was that where you guys, it was a great team from what I understand that was returning
Yeah.
and weren't able to be a part of that team and have a freshman year.
It definitely was disappointing because we had the whole build up. Like I remember we did Achieve Lacrosse, like Gear Up, it's called.
Yeah.
And we were all just getting so locked in, so ready for tryouts, which were supposed to be mid-March. And then, like, a few days before tryouts happened, we got, like, sent home from school.
Yeah.
And we assumed it would be a week, but
Yeah.
it ended up being however long.
We had family movie nights at the Hancocks. I'd go
Yeah, we
over and
did.
we'd pick different movies and whatnot. We must have watched like 70 movies. Her older sister,
Over.
Catherine had a list of all of them, and there was a lot of movies we watched. So, you know, able to have some kind of positive time during the uncertainty and the scariness of COVID, which was fun. And then ultimately, you guys go into your sophomore year. Still haven't played any varsity action. What was going through your minds before the season? Were there nerves? Was there uncertainty? Any doubt in your game? And talk us through that when the day one of tryouts, kind of what that perspective was as sophomores that haven't played, a varsity game yet.
I mean, honestly, I still, sophomore year, didn't really know much about the sport. Watching my sister play, obviously I loved it, but I always had a soccer ball at my feet. So just going into it, it was like a little bit of a mystery, and I didn't really know what to expect. But obviously, sophomore year, having these leaders like Ashley Mackin just kind of paved the way for us, and having a great coach too, Margot. She showed us what it means to be a champion, and I couldn't be so grateful to have such a first season be on a high note, and it just kind of shaped the way for the rest of our high school career.
I think that as a sophomore, going into it was definitely nerve-wracking because it was our first year and we were still underclassmen. But I think one thing that helped me as a sophomore was our coach, Margot Spatola. She held all of us to the same standard. She expected all the underclassmen to be at the level the seniors were at. And I think that gives you more confidence and almost drive to be as good as those seniors and those leaders.
Mm-hmm.
So she almost was saying, don't look at yourself as sophomores. Look at yourself as
Yeah.
you're a counted upon team member. Regardless if you're senior or sophomore, we're counting on you to win games.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And how important was Coach Spatola for you guys, not only as athletes, but as people, and how impactful has she been on your life?
She, for me, is one of my favorite coaches that I've had. She's definitely more of an old school type of coach and very tough on us. And she's tough on us because she knows our potential and she knows how good we can be. And I could always look to her for help and reassurance. And I always knew she wanted what was best for the team. And she really made that transition from high school lacrosse to college lacrosse much easier because she just pushed us so hard. And whether it was conditioning or stick work or 7v7s, she was always giving us that hard feedback that we needed to hear.
Yeah. I would just describe it as tough love. She loved us, we loved her, and we're so grateful for all she did for us. And really, like Lil said, she held us to such a high standard because she knew what this team was capable of. And she made us feel important no matter what grade we were, because we felt so special to be on such a legendary team from the past too. So it was really just great to look up to her, and she taught us so much on and off the field that we brought to college with us too.
How important is tough love though from a coach? It's positive. Don't take it the wrong way.
Yeah.
If a coach is reaming you out, it's because they have a lot of respect for you.
Oh, yeah.
And it's also, they really see such a high ceiling. And, if you can take that from it, it's really a positive. And it means it also shows how invested they are.
Oh, yeah.
And Coach Allen was a football coach of mine. He ripped me to pieces, in a good way, on plays that I had missed half. But I was so thankful for that because it also made me not take things personally, and that's so important for confidence is not to take things personally. If someone says something, it's not at you, it's us going in the right direction, which is great. So you guys go into sophomore year. At what point did you know that there was something special about that team? I mean, you look at and I didn't know till basically watching all those games, how many talented players there were on that team.
Yep.
At what point did you know there's something special? And, we got a pretty good chance of really going far in the playoffs and winning a state championship.
I think as soon as practices started, we knew we were going to be great. Having Ashley Mackin as our captain was just such a cool experience, and seeing the ways she led our team and through such a positive route. I mean, she was the queen of constructive criticism, and it was all in a positive way, and she would never make you feel bad about anything you did or any mistakes you made. And she was
the rock.
She was the rock of our team. And as I said, we knew from the start of practices that we were going to be good because everyone wanted it.
Yeah. And just also having a lot of like unsung heroes like Kate Dean, Lindsay Diomede, like they carried us through those wins too. And we all were so like unselfish, and I think we wanted the best for each other and the best for our team and not just like playing individual. I think that's honestly what was so successful for our team, was just being such a close-knit family and wanting the best for each other, and not just for ourselves. I think that's really why we were so successful.
Yeah. And there's a lot of, especially when you do anything for the first time, there's a lot of doubt that can creep in. There's a lot of uncertainty. So you guys go into playing your first playoff games. I mean, I was nervous, and I'd never really seen high school playoff games. I got family, playing. What was going through your heads? Was there nerves? And if you were to look at the first playoff game or the first big playoff game you had, and then the big games you go through now, how has that changed? How has your mindset changed with dealing with the nerves? So I guess to take it a step back, what were the nerves like in those first big games that you had? And what's differently today that you've, just accumulated to just from experience of dealing with nerves in big games?
I feel like there was such a difference between the amount of people in the crowd from a regular season game at Westwood to, a state championship game. I've learned to just like embrace it and honestly for it to like drive or what's it called?
Motivate?
Yeah, to like motivate me more. Just looking in that crowd and being so grateful that all those people have come to watch. Just seeing obviously your family in the crowd too is great, and again just using it as encouragement, seeing all those people watch you is great.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's I think I was telling Lil, it was more so the state championship game. I was basically saying the nerves are just like excitement. It's just your reaction to them. When you're sweaty and your heart's racing, it's the same thing that happens when you're excited, and you're on a roller coaster. And if you change the mind shift to that and being excited about the games, it was kind of like what I used to do. But you guys played so terrific in that first state championship game. You guys were sophomores. You're playing Franklin in Franklin. I don't even know how that even happened, but regardless, you guys didn't make any excuses. You said, tell us where to be, when to be, and we had just lost our Aunt Lil too, so it was kind of like we were going from funeral and wake and then to the game, so it was a whole blur of going into that. And then you guys played a really, really good Franklin team. It was back and forth. It was a low scoring game. It was very low scoring, and it was basically had the feeling of whoever's got the ball in their stick at the end is going to win, and essentially that's how it went down. And I specifically remember both of you guys, you guys were shining as underclassmen in these big games, and it also the seniors were shining. And I think when you have a good combination of seniors and then complementary players around, that takes the pressure off people where they can play freely. And ultimately, when it came down to the last minute, Franklin scores a goal. They tie it up, and then Westwood has the ball and going to the net, and I think the ball was knocked loose, and Franklin gets it behind the net. And we gotta hear this, and we have it on the record. You stole the ball, went in the air. I think it might have been a whiff on the pass or something, but to have the wherewithal to catch that ball clean, with nerves on the line, with heart racing probably 160 beats a minute. Find where the goal is, beat the goalie. You got a couple different people trying to track you down, and then put it in the back of the net with 12 seconds left to win a state championship. Talk us through that. What did you see there, ultimately, and what was going through your mind, and what was the exhilaration when that went into the net for the game winner?
Yeah, honestly, I don't really remember much. I totally blacked out. I all I remember is giving the ball away and just like hunting down that ball. Because a lot of the times our team talks about like what you do after a mistake is like what is how people see you as a player. So I was just trying to hunt the ball down, and somehow, thanks to the rain, the ball just ended up in my stick. And again, it's a memory from there, but it was just incredible, and it was all luck, honestly, that it ended up in my stick. But yeah, it was just such a great moment. And having everyone there watch you and watch us as a team to do it in front of them too was awesome.
Clarification, it was not all luck.
Yeah.
Ava's always in the right place at the right
The
time,
right place, at the right
actually.
time. But to also catch that ball cleanly. If you drop that ball, that gives the other team enough time to get in front of the net and to adjust
Yeah.
and do that. But to catch that, and then if you look at the clip, you're catching it and still kind of taking an angle to the net, and then the dive, Bobby Orr. Bobby
The
Orr
dive was
style.
probably a little unnecessary, but it's all right.
But I mean, probably one of the most famous goals ever in Westwood High School history. So,
Yeah.
that is going to be a goal that we'll remember for a while, and it's certainly going to be talked about for many, many years to come. If you go to Camella's, everyone should pay for your meals and
Stop
both
it.
of you guys and anyone on those teams. But certainly a fun goal. And shout out Flano, he captured
yeah.
it,
Yeah.
and it was did a terrific job, with that.
For sure.
And then going into the next season, you guys are state champs. Did you feel any pressure of everyone's going to come for us? We are, there's a bullseye on us, and, the Franklins, the Welsleys, the Lincoln Sudburys, Medfields, they're all going to give us their best. What was that feeling like going into that next season?
100% felt the pressure, but it was like good pressure. And we talk about it a lot this year, like pressure is a privilege, as they say. And like we earned that pressure, and we earned like that target on our backs, and we just had to do the same thing we did the year before, stay consistent, do the same things every day. Like, we didn't need to change anything we were doing.
Yeah.
It was honestly like great having that pressure because it was fun to have those teams coming after us. It made each game just a little bit more like chippy and more competitive, which is great. You get more out of those competitive games. So I was honestly grateful that every team was going to bring their best game to us. So it made us better as players.
Which I got to ask you, because I brought this up to Kathy Delaney-Smith, and she is one of the most important figures in Westwood high school sports history. She, quite frankly, one of the most important, if not the most important figure in women's sports.
Yeah.
She was a warrior for Title IX rights and equal rights for gender, based off of gender. And essentially, she was talking about, or I was talking about Westwood High School and how the culture is still very much similar to the 70s. The 70s, they were dominant. These girls won 96 games in a row in basketball. They were incredible. They were ranked, the top 25. And she ended up going to coach at Harvard for 40-plus years and, is the winningest all-time Ivy League coach. And one of the things that I brought you guys up to her was she talks about how special her players were in the 70s, how humble they were, how dialed in, and how competitive they were. And it made me think of the semifinal game you guys had versus Lincoln Sudbury. And I don't know if you remember, but you were playing the game at Natick High School. And they were hooting and hollering before the game. You guys were warming up, just doing your thing, and they're running a circle around to do their warm-up, and they're loud, and they were trying to intimidate you guys, and they were trying to throw you guys off your game. And what I noticed is you guys didn't care one lick. You were so focused on your warm-up, so focused on just a calm, quiet confidence before that game. And that was similar to the culture that Kathy had bestowed and set because you guys were just focused on you. And it seemed like you guys had a level of confidence of they can hoot and holler all they want, but we know what we're capable of.
Oh, yeah.
And we know what matters the most is when that ball's in the air and the clock is ticking and we're going to go out there and do what we can and we're going to ball out. And that was, we're talking about you had won 48, probably 49 games in a row. That was that was the game before the state championship. Do you guys remember that game? And at that point, was there just a certain level of confidence where it didn't matter what that team was going to try and do to intimidate you guys before the game? You knew what you were capable of. Talk a little bit about that.
I think that our humbleness and our calm energy just came from the confidence that we had in each other. And we didn't need to be going around screaming in each other's faces to get us riled up. We all just had that calm energy and the confidence in ourselves and the trust in our teammates that this game's going to be fine. We're moving on. And we played with confidence and it showed. And I think it just all goes back to the trust that you have in your teammates.
I remember after the national anthem, or when they were introducing the players, the goalie was the last one to go through the line, and she went through, and then all the players fell and everything. And I just remember looking to my left and right and just laughing with the teammates next to me because, I mean, it's just we have such an opposite like style than they do, and it was just funny to see how that was the way they hyped each other up, whereas we were just like patting each other on the back and saying like we got this. And obviously just having such a dominant win that game gave us a lot of hope for what would be the state championship game.
Which, thank you for that state championship game because it was you saved our hearts from being on the edge of our seats of close games. You guys, I think, won by 15 goals or whatnot. Such an amazing memory. I remember Babson College. It was terrific. Shout out Flano again. He got terrific coverage of that game. But back to back.
Yeah.
Not too many people can say back to back. I did it in football.
Yeah.
But it is so difficult, especially when you are on a Division I schedule and you're playing the best of the best. You're playing schools that are twice as big as you, 3 times as big as you, and getting it done and making some very, very special memories for the Westwood Wolverines. That was awesome. And I want to talk about. I mean that. When I look at that team, one of the most dominant teams too. The defense was spectacular in that game. When you only give up like 2 goals in a state championship game in the game of lacrosse, which is a typically high-scoring sport, that was remarkable. And I remember, Blomquist was a terrific defender. You had, was it Kutzer?
Yep.
Incredible. Riley Harrington was terrific in that. And, many, many more. Who else, on that team? I want to give shout-outs.
Right? Like Kate, Lindsay.
Yeah.
They were all
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, they were so
You,
talented
Kella.
offensively too. Like
Olivia,
studs.
Williams.
Oh my god.
Yep.
And that's when I think about all of those players, they are so special. All of them are playing lacrosse right now. All of them are doing amazing things and making Westwood so proud. And particularly for you guys. You guys mentioned Ashley's name and how special she was for you. But it doesn't have to be lacrosse. Who were athletes that you guys looked up to at the high school where you're like, you know what, I want to be that person. That person is just the way they play the game, the way they talk to our teammates, and just the way that they carry themselves is something special. And I'd like to, be that person.
For me, I'm thinking like soccer-wise, just like an athletic view. My sister, Catherine,
Bob.
She's a crazy woman, like on the field.
Yeah.
And she's like my best friend too. And getting to play with her 2 years in a row was like awesome. And just seeing the passion that she had for the team and the sport was like, it was amazing to see. And her going out her last game of high school with the yellow card was like so fitting.
Ashley
and
Mackin by your side,
I
fellow
remember that
captain.
picture.
Hysterical.
Just so fitting to like her character. Like she's going all out.
Yeah.
For her last game, and she was just so fun to play with and watch.
Yeah. And Ava, I mean, I'm going to ask you this, where you come from a special family of athletes. We look at, Connor, Haley, Mackenzie, Dad, playing soccer at Hartwick. How special was it growing up in that household? And I'd imagine you looked up to all of them, for inspiration and just wanted to be athletes like them.
Yeah, I mean, just watching them, I remember just being at every single one of their games. I wouldn't miss it for the world. And just watching them play and watching their motions, their quick feet, that's all I learned from. And just playing catch with them in the backyard, them being a little more tough on me than anyone else, obviously helped me too. But back to my sister Kenzie was one of my captains freshman year, and her just being so protective of me. I remember one game someone said something to me, and she went off the rails, just protecting me. And I remember walking off the field and just like shaking my head. I was like, what just happened out there? But just like she taught me to be like protective of everyone, no matter what, and just not letting anyone step over the younger girls, and just kind of being that tough person for everyone.
And I understand they call you Beans. Where'd you get that nickname from?
So my mom's best friend, my family used to call me Veens, for like Avino or something, I don't know. And then my mom's best friend, Linny, she thought that they were saying beans the whole time. So now it's just kind of fit in, and that's all I go by at home.
Classic.
But yeah, I'm glad it didn't really translate to college, so that's good.
Well, we hope not. If your teammates watch this, you never know.
Yeah,
you know?
True.
Uh-oh.
This is a world-renowned podcast, by the way. You never know.
So we've talked a little bit about the coaches that you've played for at Westwood and in college, but tell us a little bit about the teachers. Who were some of the teachers that meant so much to you in high school, and are there any teachers you want to give a shout-out to?
For me, Mr. Schumann and Mrs. Mizuta. Shout out you two.
Yep.
We heard Mrs. Mizuta a few times.
Really?
Yeah, we've heard
She's
Mr.
the
Schumann
best.
as well. Yeah.
She's the best.
So I think one thing that separated her from the student athletes that said she shows up to games,
Yes.
and the kids recognize that.
Oh,
and they
yeah.
like that.
She would bike to school. I forget where she lived, but it definitely wasn't within like 10 miles.
Yeah.
And she would like show up with her bike and helmet.
Legend.
Yep.
And just, she had like the best energy.
Yeah.
She was such a great teacher.
Yep. Cliff,
Yeah.
obviously a great teacher. Just seeing her in the school was such a familiar face. She always had something good to say. So I'm just grateful to have her as not only, she wasn't one of my teachers, but she was always someone I saw in the hallway, and obviously a coach too. But also like Mrs. Taylor, who came to our games and was always so supportive because she was also a student athlete in college. So just having her to talk to. Also, Mr. Rocha was such a great teacher. I learned so much from him. It was psychology class, and I'm so interested in that type of stuff. And he made learning so much fun in that class. So
One more, I like also Cliff for me, and Mr. Mao.
Oh,
Great
yeah.
guy. He was never my teacher, but he was a teacher at Westwood High, and I would see him in the halls. And one day I was like, Mr. Mao, if I win this game, can you make me your fried rice? Because he would always bring in lunch, and I would see what he was eating. And we I forget what game it was, but we won it. And I was like, where's the fried rice? And he made it for me.
Incredible.
Great guy.
He's the best.
He's the best. Still see him on the sidelines for all the games. And,
Oh, yeah.
What a amazing person that is literally just wants to create these memories for the kids, and all these pictures and special moments are incredible. I mean, he's got pictures that dates back to me playing my game in the Super Bowl, and
Wow.
that's 20 years ago. And then he's got present
So
day
crazy.
stuff. So
Crazy.
he really is a good, just having all these historical athletic moments all in one area. Shout out to Mr. Mao, special person.
Big time.
And then family and coaches. Opportunity. I understand both dads coached you guys at some point. Who are some other coaches? Who are also some impactful people that were not teachers in your lives?
Leslie Frank, that coached us for Mass Elite.
Yeah.
Can't thank her enough for teaching me almost all I know about the sport. Just growing up, having a figure like her was honestly unreal, and I wouldn't give that time to anything else because it was just so amazing to learn from her because she was just so successful as a coach. And obviously you can see her girls are also so successful too. So I honestly learned so much from her, and I still am. So
For me, I would say Manny Fernandez.
Yes.
He was my club soccer coach for MAF.
Yep.
Shout out MAF. He was I'm still super close with him. He's like my second dad. And I'll randomly send him texts I miss you, Manny. What are you up to? And he was just that he had a similar coaching style to Margot, where it was all tough love. Told you what you needed to do, direct communication for everything. And he acted like we were all his daughters.
talk about protecting.
Oh yeah.
He big time protected us.
Protected us.
Well, it's like they're your parent, and then when you move on, they become your friend.
Yeah.
And they're making sure that you're safe, you're getting better, you're turning into, a great, young woman in the community. And then, when you move on to college and whatnot, they're friends. They're supporting you.
Oh, yeah.
And I'd imagine, them as well as family. Pre-game texts, how special are those? Talk us about those. Who do you usually get texts from before a game, and how much does that fire you up before tip off?
Yeah, I mean, it's usually just I'll get a call from my mom just telling me, I mean, they don't put really pressure on me at all. They just let me go out there and do my thing, which I'm so grateful for. Yeah. But they'll just text me and just say, go out there and do your thing, leave it all on the field. And it's just great to like hear that from them and just be reminded that the world is so much bigger than this game and you don't have to put that much pressure on yourself because life's going to move on. So just, take every second for granted, and my family helps remind me of that every day.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I mean, literally the entire family, Morg, like my grandma, obviously
Carol,
my dad, sister, mom, CJ, everyone is so supportive. And Catherine, specifically before 8-10 playoffs, she would send a whole paragraph hyping me up, come on, leave it all out on the field. And my dad also loves sending me motivational videos and just getting me Goggins all day. And just getting me hyped up and he loves the Boys of Fall video. But he just cares so much about me as a person and a player, and I just am so grateful for all the support that comes from our family.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, it's just a game. All the important things are, you see all the important things, and that's, your family, being loved by them, really cool. And last couple questions. For as Westwood grads and Westwood grads who are playing at the next level and, having amazing seasons and amazing team players, what advice would you give to current athletes today that want to play lacrosse at the next level? And maybe they're not even in high school yet, but they want to play college at the next level. What are things that they can do today to get ahead and to really work towards getting on the radar of a team's program and ultimately getting a scholarship offer?
Just honestly buy in now. Don't take anything for granted. Time moves pretty fast. We're already halfway through our college career, and it feels like it's at a snap of a finger. So just honestly be grateful for what you have right now. Treat your teammates as best friends because they'll be your lifelong friends forever. And just put your hard work in, but don't put too much pressure on yourself because, again, like we just said, it's just a game. And the sun's going to rise the next day no matter how that game goes. So just honestly have fun and do what you love because you'll never get this time back.
Yeah. One specific thing I would say is having the discipline to continue every single day. Don't take any obviously you can take a Sunday off or whatever, but don't take the days that you have for granted. Like Ava said, do everything you can do to be the best version of you, and whether it's lifting or doing speed work or any kind of wall ball or passing out the field, do all of that with intention and know what you want to do for the future. If you want to go D1 or if you want to go D3, just set those goals and have intentional workouts and know where you want to end up. And when you put in the hard work, it shouldn't matter. You should be proud of yourself no matter what, and then all else falls in line.
Yeah. How important too is it to not be afraid about what other people think while you're working hard? Kids used to joke around, don't go full hard, don't go full hardo. Yeah. Don't be that lunatic that's trying so hard. But it's also important not to be afraid to be that person where people might cast judgment on you. Yeah. But you know what? 4 or 5 years later, when they see you at the biggest stage of them all, they're like, you know what? I kind of wish I did.
Yeah.
So how important is it to just not really kind of look at or care what other people think while you're working hard?
We are actually super lucky because we work out at Compete. Yeah. And we have been for the past 5 years or at least. And we're just surrounded by those athletes that everyone wants it. Everyone wants to make it to that high level. Yeah. And just being in that group of people in that environment, it makes you want it more because it's all right, we're all in this together. We're all working hard and it's going to pay off. Yeah. So, I mean, the judgment from other people outside of that, honestly, I didn't see too much of it because I think most people respect it.
Yeah. Yeah.
being in the group of people that want it is so important.
Yeah.
So like finding that group.
Yeah, we talked about that with Margot, where she came from Hingham, and this is the early Mass Elite days, and she said Mass Elite was such a blessing because you could see how competitive people are from other towns. And when you see how competitive people are, then you become more competitive because you want to win.
Yep.
And when you get people who are like-minded like that together in the same area, it's just going to foster greatness.
Yep.
People are going to just keep pushing and pushing and pushing each other to the
Yeah.
next level. Last question. When you look back at Westwood and, growing up here, going to high school here, winning some state championships, what are some of your favorite memories that you're going to look back at and really appreciate for many years to come?
There's so like
There's so many.
I know.
I mean, winning the state championship
Yep.
both years. I mean, that was awesome. Like that probably was my favorite.
Yeah.
I'd say.
Just it all clicking and coming
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
Just getting a taste of college and seeing how much work you have to put in order to be such a successful team. Just when it all came together and paid off, that was like the most amazing feeling ever. I'm trying to think of any other.
Another fun one was our basketball team took a trip to Holy Cross, I think, or or Stonehill
Stonehill, yeah.
for like one of their college basketball games, and it was just it
Trish
was such a-
Brown. Shout out Trish Brown, Stonehill
Yes,
coach. Yeah.
yes. But Cliff and Coach Hiltz took us there, and it was just like a bonding experience, and it was super fun. We got like pizza on the way home.
Yep.
It was
And
just-
also beating Medfield in one of the basketball years.
Yeah.
I forget which one. I think it was our junior year.
yes,
We beat them, and it was such a great feeling because, they're such a great team, and
Yeah.
to be able to beat them was just such a statement. And then obviously soccer, that Oliver Ames game, I'll never forget. Just, again, so great.
Yeah.
So,
Well, girls, we are so thankful to have you on here. So proud of you.
Oh.
Apologies for all the spam anytime you guys pass or shoot or score together. We post about it. And I have no
Thank you.
problem posting it if it's 30 a game, and
Oh, yeah.
we'll keep doing it because we're celebrating Westwood. But so proud of you and what you guys have done, becoming great people, great players, and the season you had at UMass, and setting a great example for these girls that had looked up to you in high school, and then they're going to go on to the next level. So really appreciate you both coming on, talking shop, and being able to chat and catch up with us.
thank you for having us, Morg.
yeah, thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for having us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Folks, thank you for tuning in to Wolverine Report episode 37. Looking forward to seeing you all on the next one.